are recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for coming. Earlier you said that you had no hand in the writing of the AB5 rule in California, correct?
Correct, Congressman.
No input, no advice?
So I don't remember specifically about that particular rule, but I will say that in my role in state government, in the executive branch, as an appointee of the governor in California, we would sometimes be asked for technical assistance on implementation. How would this be implemented? Could this be implemented? It's the same thing that I've seen here at the federal level.
Yeah, and then you said also, and I'll just say this, like I found it remarkable to hear that and to hear this as well, because where I come from, the state of Missouri, our directors, our department heads, every agency head is actively involved in any legislative process that their department is going to have to deal with. And so to not provide counsel, to not provide input would be negligent for that department head.
Right. So I think, Congressman, if you're referring to, technical assistance, right, how would you implement this? I think the question that was asked was whether I helped to write the law, and I do fully
and so you
appreciate
did have technical assistance in writing the law.
I mean, we generally were asked for technical assistance about laws that we would be charged with enforcing.
Let's jump to this question. You said that you would not endorse or want to support taking that law nationwide. Is that correct? Would you support the rules of AB5 or something similar go from a California law to nationwide law?
I certainly have not done that, Congressman.
And you won't do that?
Well, and when given, when putting together a rule about independent contractor versus employee status, the Department of Labor, under my leadership and that of former Secretary Marty Walsh, we were explicit, because we're governed by what the law allows, that we could not do that.
Okay, I'm going to move on, because I think people in my state want to know as well. We have a very well-functioning system for workers' compensation on the state level. There is credible fear that there will be rules changed from your department that might impact states and their ability to handle workers' compensation insurance, or to possibly nationalize it. Can you say today that you will not make rule changes to workers' compensation or try to nationalize it?
Thank you very much for that question, Congressman, and for the opportunity to talk a little about. We have, under the Department of Labor, an Office of Workers' Compensation Programs, but it administers federal workers' compensation programs. We do collaborate with the states at various times. One of the things that I said when I came in was, instead of having individuals who both would be covered by a state workers' compensation and federal workers' compensation, try to navigate those systems, we should do our best to work with state systems to make the provision.
It's my hope that you leave the states alone and let them do what they do better. Let me say this. I'm really glad to hear that AB5 is not going to go nationwide, and the reason is that it was clearly disastrous for the state of California, and I say that as someone in the state of Missouri. We received a lot of employees and workers as a result of that disastrous law, and I want to point one out to you. This is an individual. Her name is Theldarine D. Sova. She owns and operates a trucking company, did in California, had managed her own time, all of her own benefits, everything was her decision, and she, apparently, according to that rule, was not smart enough to know what's good for her, but at the end of the day, she had a choice: give up her company or go work for somebody else, right, as a W-2 employee. She chose to leave California and move to God's country, Missouri. And I'm glad to have her as a citizen, but it's gentleman from California is lost. And with that, I'll turn the remainder of my time over to him.